Yo, what's going on, man? This is the BeBall Jones podcast. I am simply a basketball trainer with a basketball podcast. My goal is to present the game to you from a different angle, educate you with a unique perspective, and also change your mindset along the way. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoy.
Man, I think about a lot of stuff with the game, right? That's kind of why this podcast came to life. I think about a lot of stuff with the game. And you know how around All-Star break, we start having conversations of who outweighs who. Like, do we have a couple years ago, DeMarcus Cousins was back when he was a Sacramento King, around that time when he was Boogie. He averaged about 28, 13. And there was debates around if he should be an All-Star because the Kings sucked at that time. They weren't a playoff team that they are this year or this past year. They were trash. They was like 12th in the conference versus some team like I can't think of what's the conference team right now. Let's say the Warriors because they was probably popular back then. Let's say the Warriors and you know Draymond getting voted in. I'm not don't want to say Draymond. I love Draymond, but he'd be averaging 12 and 8. So people are like, well, we should throw Draymond in because his team is doing better. They're number one, number two in the conference, probably number one, two in the league, and he's contributing to a winning team. But DeMarcus Cousins should be voted in because he balling. Like the Kings are probably first round pick, first overall pick if it ain't for him balling out. So it's like, which one should we weigh in more when we talk about individual success? Should we add in the fact that this team is doing this level of success when we're weighing out this player's career and looking at his resume and everything, or should we just look at, man, this man balling? I can't help the team around him when we're talking about his greatness. So I just thinking about that for a minute, man. So I want to get your perspective on that. How do you feel we should weigh out a player's success? Should we look at the individual greatness of what they have and what they do independently, or should we look at the team success and what they contribute to the overall team?
I mean, it's a tough question to ask, really, because, you got plenty of guys, like, on bad teams, and they ball out, put up huge numbers, and then you got plenty of guys that are just good, and they be on good teams, and, the role that they're in fits for them, and so they still do good, and their team does well. So, it's an interesting question. But what I will say is, I think we do put a little bit too much of a bad stigma around being good on a bad team. Because we get a guy like Boogie. The thing is, the guy that gets drafted number one, the thing is, the guy that gets drafted number one overall, where's he going? To a bottom 4 team in the league. Automatic. So then this guy that gets drafted to a bottom 4 team, and he plays, he might come in and play well, do what he got to do. Might win Rookie of the Year and all that good stuff, and that's great. We love that for young players. But then the thing is, if that young player stays for 4 or 5 years, maybe 6, 7, like Boogie did, and keeps balling, now the narrative changes. It's like, oh, well, he only putting these numbers up because they're bad. It's like, dog, he was drafted here. Like, what are you supposed to play bad? Like, so we kind of shift the goalposts in a way. So that's why I kind of look at it like, man, what you want guys to do? You want them to, should he just automatically leave? Because that's kind of how we make it seem. We make it seem like he should just automatically say, okay, I balled out for my whole rookie contract, time to go play for a contender. Like, no, everybody should not do that. Like, you got to choose your own path in your career. So I just think we put too much into that. Like, man, he only balling because they're bad. Like, what you want him to do? Just be average because his team bad. What should he do? Should he play down to their competition? Or to his teammates level? Like, y'all, I can't play too good, or they'll start saying I'm only doing that because our team bad. I just don't understand that. I think talent is talent, and you just got to let it be what it is. Like, this guy's balling. He's more talented than a lot of his peers, and he should be, rewarded for that. He should be an all-star. If he's playing at all-star level, he should be rewarded with all-star level talent, or playing with an all-star vote.
So you leaning more towards we should look at the individual's greatness as what they do, not so much of the team success.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you just now. You glitched a little bit.
I was saying, so you think more of like we should look at the individual players' success as what they're doing, and not so much on the team side.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like, and I think obviously the team accolades are more coveted than anything. You want your team to be number one or a top seed. You want to go deep in the playoffs. You want to win a championship, obviously. But the thing is, and my guy Giannis Antetokounmpo spoke on this not too long ago in a press conference. He says every year you don't win a championship is not a failure. Like he said, Michael Jordan played 15 years in the NBA and won 6 championships. So you saying the other 9 were failures? Is that what we saying? And I part of me doesn't agree because I want to say like, yeah, the ultimate goal is to win a championship. So if you don't do that, then you fail. Part of me does want to say that because I'm that type of guy. If we ain't win a championship, then I feel like we ain't doing enough. But what I won't do is call our season a failure because we worked hard, we played hard, we gave it everything we had. We just didn't have enough. And you live with those results and don't call it failure. You know what I mean? That's like saying, let's say you get a good job and you work and you get promoted and promoted and promoted over the years, and then you get ready to retire and you a millionaire, but you ain't a billionaire. Is your life a failure? Because, your goal was to make $1 billion. Were you a failure? Because you're not a billionaire? I don't think people think about it in that way. Like the Bucks that year, Giannis was first team all conference. Thinking about college. Giannis was first team all NBA. The Bucks was number 1 in the East, and they got beat first round. So I consider that a failure mainly because they didn't live up to their potential. But saying they didn't win a championship, so now that's a failure, I think that's wrong. You know what I mean? I think it's wrong for people to put that. So that would mean there's only one success every year in the NBA. And that's not fair. Like, we can't say only the Denver Nuggets succeeded this year. Because many teams lived up to their potential and played well and played up to where they should have been. And some teams didn't. I think the Timberwolves played very well for the team that they have. They made it to the playoffs for the first time in a long time. And stole a game off the team that eventually won the championship, which they were the only team to do until the finals, I want to say. Because who did the Nuggets play second round? They had lost the game to, was it the Clippers? No. The Suns.
The Warriors, I think.
No, the Lakers played the Warriors. They played the Suns.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, and the Suns, did the Suns win the game? I think they won the game too. So the Timberwolves stole a game off the team that would eventually win the championship. So I think they played up to their potential. That the Timberwolves should not call their season a failure. I believe the Bucks can call their season a failure because they lost in the first round. That's not where they were. Not where their potential is. They were a championship contending team. They got put out first round. That's a failure. I can say that. But people put everything. We have such a culture of, championship or bust. And I think that's so terrible. Like, not saying championships ain't the ultimate goal, because it is. But, like, people always being like, you didn't win a ring. Like, dog. Like Chris Paul, Russell Westbrook, Allen Iverson, Charles Barkley, these are the guys that might never win a ring because, Chris and them still playing. But, like, they haven't won a ring. And first thing they throw out them is, like, they ain't going to never win a ring. They haven't won no rings. Like, what do he know about winning a championship? He ain't never won one. Like, dog, what championship you done won? Like, only one team can win the championship. Do people realize that? I don't think people realize that only one team can win a championship every year. So then you're going to have players who don't win. And I don't think you should call guys who don't win a championship, like, that would mean every guy who never won a championship was a failure. I just can't call it that, and I hoop, man. I play. I have yet to win a championship. And, there might be people that say they look at me and be like, "Oh, he ain't never won no championship." Of course, he gonna say that. Like, I'm not going to call myself a failure because my team didn't win a championship. I feel like I gave it everything I had. I gave my full potential, and if we ain't have enough, we just ain't have enough. But I know that I had plenty of success in my own right, and I live with that. So I'm definitely leaning more towards the individual success. I should not be penalized because my team didn't have enough. In a team sport, it's different if Serena Williams don't win a championship. You can or don't win the U.S. Open, whatever. Then you could be like, oh, well, she failed because it's all on her. That means the other man or woman was better than her. The other woman was better than her. That's all you can say. But a team beating another team, that you can't say them guys better than me because their team beat my team. And I think that's what it comes down to. So don't base everything off of my team's what my team did in the season. Don't let that define me as a player. You know what I mean?
I think you reach a point in your career and with your legacy where your team success does matter way more than individual stuff. So if you look at the arc of a player's career, when they first come in, we're trying to see what you can do individually. So, Ja Morant, Luka, Zion, you're looking at Ant-Man. We're looking at the young guys in the league. So we're like, what can you do individually? Where are you really based at? So this perfect example is going to be Victor Wembanyama, right? Rookie season in play. For the first 3 years, maybe, probably not even 3 years, you probably get like 2 years to really get a feel for what he can become and kind of do. Is it going to be more of a Anthony Davis type the first 2 years and just be a defensive juggernaut and, offensive game comes along? Is it going to be more of what's your boy name? Bobby and Toby, Tobias Harris homeboy,
Marjanovic,
dude was
Boban.
like 7 foot. Yeah. Or it's gonna be Michael Boban, which essentially kind of a bust, seeing the expectation we have for him. It's gonna be more of like that, where it's a really quality backup big, and he's able to give you good minutes here and there. So we're gonna give him 2 years, maybe kind of get a feel for what we can get from him. After that, it's like, okay, how high can you go? So we see what you can do. How high can you get to that ceiling? Next is like, okay, now are you contributing to team wins? Like, what is your team doing? The first 2 years, we kind of let it by because, we're trying to get a feel for the team or whatever. After about year 4 or 5, like, Luka's kind of getting to that point now where it's like, all right, bro, what your team doing now? Trae Young, what your team doing now? You start knocking on that door of like, Jason Tatum, what your team doing? Jaylen Brown, what your team doing? So after a while, it's like, okay, you're a great player, but how great are you really going to be? So now you start looking at the tiers. So if LeBron never won a ring, we're not talking about him being one of the GOATs of all time. So the team success does matter to an extent. Like there's a point where it starts kicking in where your team success does matter. So it starts off individual, then the team comes in and takes over where it's like, well, Jordan, you ain't got that many, bro. Like if you only had 2 of them, are we still calling him the GOAT like that? Are we still championing him to be like, well, he's 2-0 in the finals? Like, LeBron got 4 of them. Kobe got 5 of them. Magic got, like, you know what I mean? It weighs a little bit different when you talking about that now. So
Yeah.
when you start looking at the team success, it means a lot more because it's like now we're putting you in certain tables and certain tiers of players now because it's like there's a reason why Jerry West only has 1. He's not mentioned as even one of the best at his position. There's a reason why some players so like you get so good with individually, you start creeping, okay, now what can you contribute to the team overall? So I think that team success does matter more, man, especially when you start talking about certain things. Now, if you're a role player, of course, individually you want to get off and get a bag and, or get into your bag offensively, defensively, whatever you do. And then, you win, you lose. Only so much you can do. But when you start talking about it at all-star levels and superstar levels and the superstar levels, that's when team success takes a little bit more over because it's like, there's a reason why Chris Paul is knocked out of people's top 5 point guards. He doesn't have a ring. So I get it. He's in my top 5, but I get why people take him out. If he had 2 rings, I don't think it's a debate. I'm pretty sure the individual success of John Stockton versus Isaiah Thomas's 2 rings is a strong debate with a lot of people. If Chris Paul had a couple rings, that's a strong debate. Nash versus CP is a very strong debate for a lot of people. Because they're in that same tier of no rings. But you throw AI in there, okay, same tier, no rings. What have you done individually? But now AI IT, Isaiah Thomas jumps all those guys, a lot of people, because he has two of them automatically. I'm not saying that's right, but the team success does weigh a little bit differently when you're talking about individual play, especially of that tier. You can't be top 5, top 10, and like not have a ring for some people. Like you automatically bump down to the next tier because you don't have a ring. So I think that individual success matters a lot, especially in the beginning. But it gets to a point where it's like, okay, what is your success doing for the entire team? It gets to that point for some people. So I think we do have to look at the team success a little bit more, especially if you want to be mentioning certain tiers. So the team success is, for me, probably a little bit more when we're talking about the players' overall resume accolades.
Okay, so I got a good story for you. So in high school, we was rivals. I think I mentioned this a couple times. We was rivals with this school called Sumter Central in Sumter County, Alabama. Shout out to them. Great program. Jazz Mitchell coaching down there. They always got a good team. When I was in high school, they beat the brakes off us every time. Every time, beat the brakes off us. I ain't scared to admit it. It's been a long time, but they used to beat the brakes off us in high school. I remember my senior year, they beat the brakes off us at home. We played them down there. They get up about 20. Feel like they finna beat the brakes off us again. So I remember at halftime, I'm in the locker room like, man, you know what? F it. I'm finna just go out and hoop, play my game. I'm not gonna worry so much about the outcome. You know what I mean? And so I started like demanding the ball in the post, and I'm scoring, I'm killing. And they start trying to double me. They had like grabbed my jersey one play, scratched me up and stuff. I'm getting fouled here like hard, like a couple times. You know what I'm saying? Like repeatedly. And I was scoring though, all in the paint, getting buckets. And we started coming back, but it just wasn't enough. We ended up still losing. But I finished well. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people took note of that. But what I took from that game, I said, man, these boys good, this team good, they team stacked. But I don't think these boys better than me, man. You know what I mean? I don't believe these boys better than me. They better than us. But I don't believe them boys better than me. And that's how I looked at it after that. I'm like, man, no. And I ain't never beat them. That's the thing. Like getting beat like that will make you look at the game different. Like, okay, they team better than ours. You got to admit it at a certain point. Like, you don't lose by double digits to the same team 4 years straight and don't think they better than you. So never would I ever be like, even now somebody asks me, I would never be like, if somebody came up to me right now today, be like, man, tell the truth, y'all could have beat Sumter Central. I'd be like, nah, we couldn't. Like, they were better than us. Like, I would admit that right now today at 23 years old. Like, man, don't you think y'all could have beat Sumter that year, your senior year, whatever year you talking about? I'd be like, nah, bro, we couldn't. If this would have happened, that would have happened. If this guy would have did this, yeah, we probably would have been in the game. But I don't think we had enough. They were better. That point blank period, they was. So then what happens? We all move on to the next level of basketball. And all of them boys go to college. The guys that was in my class, just about all of them went to college to play basketball, just like me and Shakari on my team. So, what ends up happening? We all go JUCO. And if you don't know anything about Alabama JUCO, like obviously I played 2 years. Everybody in Alabama JUCO is in the same conference, and there's a North and a South. That's how I split up. And it's just two halves of the conference, North and South. But we all in the same conference. And I was in the North. And I can tell you where these guys went. I ain't gonna name no names or nothing. But I know where every guy went. And when they signed, I was like, oh, so we in the same conference. Gots to get that back. Gots to get them. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, oh, no, we finna play each other again. And I ain't got Demopolis on my chest and you ain't got something. Oh, I gotta get you. You got to feel this one. I'm the type of dude, I'm gonna remember this. I'm gonna remember all that. Because they used to talk junk to us. They used to talk crazy. Like, okay. Hey, boy, what they say? You'll get me if you jump me. But when I catch you one-on-one, they was jumping me. I know this is probably how Bron felt. I ain't never been Bron. I ain't trying to compare myself to Bron. But this is probably how Bron felt in Cleveland when he was playing the Big Three Celtics. And they was going to the finals back-to-back playing Kobe and them. I know Braun was probably like, man, these
Yeah.
boys jumping me. That's how I felt. I was like, these boys jumping me, dog. But then I messed around and went to Bevel State. That was my Miami. I was like, y'all ain't finna jump me no more. Y'all ain't finna jump me no more. It's one-on-one now. So then that next year,
Mm-hmm.
two of them boys on the same team. They was on the same team in JUCO. We played them. My first conference game. They was my very first conference game. They had two of the guys from Sumter on the same team. I'm like, oh yeah, I'm ready. I'm locked in. Go down there, gave them boys 24-12. 24-12, and we beat them double digits. We in the handshake line, they be like, boy, you was hooping, boy. I said, appreciate it, dog. Kept on going. Hey man, appreciate it, boy. Big game. But they knew from that point on. It was like, man, he good. That jump was real.
Mm-hmm.
That got me my respect, and I'm big on that. I'm big on that respect. You gonna respect me between these lines. You ain't gotta like me, none of that. But I need that respect above everything. So they respected me from that point
Mm-hmm.
on. Then they had another guy. Called him later on in my career. I ain't get to play him in JUCO. Later on, he ended up going to West Alabama. And then they come to Columbus State for a play date before the season start. We playing up for the season. I'm like, oh yeah, got to get him too. Got to get him too. It's a play date. Got to get him. Got to get him, bro. So man, we playing them in a play date. We got a good amount of people in the gym though. I'm like, oh, people in here too? Bet it. I'm hooping. Gave them a smooth 16. But one play that stand out. I get the ball on the block. He fouled me, and I go to the line. He talking junk, talking cash money, because that's what they do. He talking cash money. He's like, boy, you ain't never beat me, boy. I ain't never lost to nobody from Demopolis. You ain't never beat me. I'm like, okay. You keep thinking that. He was like, you ain't never beat me, dog. I ain't never lost to nobody from Demopolis. I ain't never lost to you. You ain't never beat me. I'm like, I went to the free throw line. I looked there and I said, you know, my jersey don't say Demopolis no more. And yours don't say Sumter Central. And then I walked to the line. I went to the free throw line, hit my free throws. Couple plays later, Buddy got an offensive rebound. He went up for he went to put it back. Came from behind him. Give me that. Put it on the glass. Came down with the board, and then they fouled me to stop the break. I said, this ain't high school. This not high school, dog. Hey, bro, I'm not going for it. I remember all that. All 4 of them years, y'all beat me down, and I ain't never beat y'all. He was totally right. He 100% right. I ain't never beat him. I ain't never beat him. He's never lost to me. But my jersey don't say Demopolis no more, dog. And yours don't say Sumter Central. So that's why I can't let the team thing, dog. Like, you know what I'm saying? I never felt like them boys was better than me.
Mm-hmm.
Never. I can't let you have it. Because if y'all, like I said, I feel like y'all jumped me in high school. But when I caught y'all one-on-one, y'all knew what the deal was. And I'm not trying to take nothing away from them boys. They was great basketball players. I want to throw that in there too. I'm not trying to make it seem like they just was bad. All of them boys was good. That's why we could not beat them in high school. They was all good. They had a lot of talent. But then they got put on teams individually, separated from each other, and their teams wasn't as good as the team they had in high school compared to the high school teams they was playing. You know what I mean? Once they separated and was on more, you know, the teams weren't as stacked. It was different. So that's why I say, man, me saying that the team awards, obviously the championship is more coveted than everything, obviously. But me saying the team accolades mean more than individual talent and stuff like that, I just can't. Because that would mean that them boys were better than me. That's how I feel about it. Me saying that would be like me admitting, like, yeah, them boys from Sumter was better than me because they kept beating me. This is a team game. I never felt like they was better than me. Only their team was better than my team. All love and respect to my team and Demopolis. Like when I played, love them guys to death. And I feel like they gave me everything they had. We just ain't have enough. And that's just what it is. And I feel like at this point, they should be able to admit that just like me. So I ain't got no problem with saying it. But individually, had to get me back. I need that back, B. Every time. So that's why I can't I can't just say that the individual I mean, the team accolades are just way more important. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not saying that overall. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and say Patrick McCall is a better player than Chris Paul or Allen Iverson or Steve Nash because he has what 2, 3 rings.
Yeah,
Never gonna say that in
three.
my life. I would cancel this podcast if I sat here and thought that was true. Cause that's just foolishness, man. Because step between them lines, somebody getting cooked, and I'm pretty sure the name rhymes with tactic for Saul, and that was terrible. But
Hey, it's funny though. Oh
but he
man.
getting cooked, man. Like he he not holding Chris Paul, especially prime CP, AI Westbrook. He's not. That's a light game, man. That's not a. It's not. That gets ugly. That gets pretty ugly. No disrespect, but it's disrespectful. Like to put him in that category just because he has three. I'm never gonna sit here and say that. But when you start creeping into the top 15s, then the top 10s, then the top fives, it gets more nitty gritty. So when we're breaking down the tiers of players, it's like, why is Vince Carter not mentioned in the top whatever shooting guards or small forwards, whatever position you got him at? Individually, he was solid. He had a couple years where he was like Vince Andy was stupid. He was great. He probably has the top all time finishes ever. Like I'm pretty sure between dunks and his layups, him and MJ probably going toe for toe on highlight finishes. I think because Jordan has more layups, he probably wins that. But his Vince Carter's in-game dunks, plus the 2000 All-Star Game dunk contest he had, plus the Olympic dunk he had dunking over 7'2" with the baggy shorts from the early 2000s. Like he cleared him, bro. Like that ain't the shorts we got now. Was you know rewinds to the John Stockton shorts. No, bro. He had the baggy joints that was at the knee or below the knee. He cleared a 7'2" player. Like, come on now. So that's probably the all-time greatest dunk. Like that's up there. But there's a reason why he's not mentioned as the top 3 shooting guards. There's a reason why it's a clear distinction between Jordan, Kobe, Wade. He's not mentioned top 5. He might be top 10, but there's a reason why for that. The top 3 guys all have multiple rings. So it's like you build up your individual career to where you get mentioned at certain tables. But now how much you get fed at those tables is determined by your team success. So comparing you to individual guys on that team from some team is like, all right, cool, whatever. But there's another school that had another guy who was in that tier of like the second best defensive player in your county. He's in that conversation. Where it's like, okay, do you want him or do you want Nelson? It's like, oh, okay, Well, let's just say he actually won the ring or he made it further in the playoffs, whatever. Let's just say that was the case it was. Now it's a little bit more intriguing of a conversation because it's like, do I go here or do I go there? But because he had the team success, some people will say, yeah, he might have averaged 3 more rebounds and another block, but he got the ring. He contributed to that team. He contributed to that ring, to the championship, or to the advancement that they had. So that's why I feel like team success will outweigh. I'm not saying all the way across the board because AI is a legend. Like we had a whole podcast breaking down his impact on the culture. So it's like enough said about AI. But there's a reason why he's not talked about as being number one. As much of I don't think any player had as much impact on the game as him. That's a very strong debate that we could have. I'm pretty sure he's number one or top 3. So on and off the court, which is why I say he's probably number one. So I just feel like the team success does mean a little bit more when we're talking about certain tiers. Now, bottom tiers, like, all right, tit for tat, whatever. Middle tier, all right, tit for tat, whatever. Now, you want to be top 5? Ooh, it's pretty tough, man. Individual stuff, you're going to have to be like legendary, like record breaking to be put ahead of certain guys. There's a reason why John Stockton is mentioned as top whatever point guards. Because that man has an all-time assist and all-time steals record that we don't see anybody breaking. So it's like, gotta at least mention you. You might not be in that Final Five, but we got to at least mention he had a conversation about you. There's a reason why. So that's why I feel like individually you're gonna have to be like legendarily great to have your individual stuff put that high above guys who are close enough in tier and have the ring. So that's where I think we did a top 5 of point guards or something. I left John Stockton off of mine. Great player. Respect him. But let me get CP over you, bro. So I just feel like team success does weigh a little bit more in my opinion, just because of the fact that like when you start creeping in a certain tier, a certain conversation, I gotta outweigh his contribution to a ring versus just your individual contribution. I'm not saying that because he won a ring he's automatically better, but I know for a fact he's a better player. I don't say he's a better player because I know his stats made that team better. He didn't just have empty stats like some people like to say about Boogie. He, winning 15 games in the season, but you averaging 30 and 10. Like, that's empty stats, bro. Not saying that. But his way a little bit differently when you talk about guys winning rings or at least getting better team success overall. So I think overall, individual. But you want to be talked about in certain levels, team success has to take over that one for me, man. So I don't know, brother. I think team success still outweighs the individual stuff.
It doesn't matter that you're a beginner and you're just starting. That's not an excuse. Or like the fact that you started in 7th or 8th grade hooping doesn't mean that you like can't get better and play catch up. Like no. So I need you to do one thing for it, okay? Focus on you. All right? Stay in your lane and make every day a battle of you versus you. So you have to be better than how you were yesterday. Doesn't matter how much you fumbling, bumbling around, doesn't matter. So you need to like check yourself, breathe for a second, and go work out and just go get better. But wait, before you go, grab you a t-shirt as a reminder that progress is on the go.
All right, so let me ask you this. Where do you rank Robert Horry in your all-time list? I want you
How
to
long
think
we
about
got,
this.
bro? Because
All right, since we ain't got all day, we can tell it ain't very high if you got to think about it. So my question is, why don't you rank him over Jordan or LeBron or D Wade, Kobe? Why you don't rank him over them? Why he ain't a top 5 small forward? I guess he plays small forward or power forward. Why he ain't top 5 in them positions? Because if y'all don't know, for y'all at home, Robert Horry got 7 championships. 7. That's one more than Jordan. So, and the thing is, before y'all be like, oh, well, he just was riding their coattails. Robert Horry played a big role on a lot of them championship teams. All of them, really. Played a big role. Nicknamed Big Shot Bob for a reason. Hit a lot of big shots for the Lakers. Hit a lot of big shots for the Spurs. Everything. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go look it up. Go look it up on YouTube.
Bama boy.
All right. Bama boy. Come on, man. You better act like you know, boy. Come on. But look that up when the podcast over with. Robert Horry. All right? If you don't know who I'm talking about. Got 7 championships. Why we ain't talking about him in these top 5s, top 10s, top 5 small forwards? Or, why he ain't getting mentioned? Because Robert Horry ain't nobody's best player. He was nobody's MVP. He ain't nobody's leading scorer. None of that. They giving finals MVP to the guy that's the best player on the team. But Robert Horry got 7 championships. And this is why I know. And Robert Horry played a big role. This ain't no screw up, Ryan, nobody coattails. He wasn't nobody Udonis Haslam or none of that. He wasn't nobody's Jared Dudley. You know what I mean? He ain't riding nobody's coattails to a championship. He played a big role in 7 championship runs. And that's why I say the individuals, the team awards is not always the bigger than the individual awards. Because Even though Robert Ory got more championships than Tim Duncan and was on Tim Duncan's team, nobody's saying he better than Tim. Robert Ory got more championships than Tony Parker. He was on Tony Parker's team. Ain't nobody saying he better than Tony Parker. Shoot, ain't nobody saying he better than Manu, really. He was on the 3-peat team with Shaq and Kobe. Ain't nobody saying he better than Shaq or Kobe. Shoot, they probably don't say he better than Lamar Odom. So that's why I say, man, I know it's somebody that played against Robert Ory. Let me put it to you like this. You ever been in, I know you have, but for y'all that at home, you know how you be in a pickup game at the rec or in the gym or whatever, you know, y'all just playing, and the guy that ain't scored all game hit the game winner. You ever been in that situation? I know you have if you play basketball, because it happens a lot. Don't know why, I can't tell you the rhyme or reason. But the guy who ain't scored all game hit the game winning tray ball in the corner. It always be like that. And you just be like, man, ain't no way, bro. This dude just hit the shot, bro. Like, if anybody out of this 5 we playing against, I would have wanted him to shoot it, and he made it. And that was Robert Orr. 7 times. Not saying he hit the game winner all 7 times, obviously, but he hit a lot of big shots. So that was Robert Orr. And the thing is, the guy that hit that game winner, who ain't scored all game, it's a reason you wanted him to shoot it. Because he ain't the best player out here. If you playing pickup and Kobe out there and Robert Orr on his team and they got game point, you probably trying to stop Kobe. And now Robert Orr open for that tray ball in the corner. And guess what? It's good. And that's what I'm saying, man. But y'all would never say, oh, well, shoot, Robert Orr must be better than Kobe. He say, how y'all be doing LeBron? Oh, Ray Allen saved Bron career. Kyrie saved Bron in Cleveland. Ain't nobody ever said Robert Orr saved nobody. You know what I mean? That's why I don't like that jump, man. Because it's like people pick and choose when they want the team awards to mean more than the individual. Because, like I said, I get it. Robert Orr ain't never win Finals MVP. I get it. But, sure, it's a lot of guys that ain't never won Finals MVP. John Stockton ain't never won a championship. Ain't nobody saying ain't nobody saying Robert Orr better than John or Karl Malone. So, what are we talking about? That's why I can't go for that, because we pick and choose when we want it to mean more than the individual awards. Look, and Robert Orr was a good player, but like I said, man, y'all pick and choose. And that's why I, as a basketball player and a hooper, I got to say, man, look at the player. Which one of these dudes the better player? Which one of these dudes would I take in a pickup game? You know what I mean? Who do I want on my team? And that's what I feel like the main thing should be. And so when the all-star votes come out, ask yourself, who would I rather play, Boogie or Draymond Green? Love Draymond. Great player, 2-time DPOY. Hey, multi-time champion. When Boogie was in his prime in Sacramento, I'm taking Boogie. Love Draymond. Who am I taking? Anthony Edwards or, let me think, Zach LaVine. Because they made the playoffs. Well, no, they didn't. I'm lying. Who would I rather have? Anthony Edwards or, I'm trying to think of another guy. Malik Monk. Malik Monk in the playoffs. He went crazy too. Had some big moments in the playoffs too, especially against the Warriors. Had 2 big games. I'm taking Ant-Man. You know what I mean? Like, it's levels, bro. If you can't, and the Hoopers can look at somebody and tell, like, all right, give me him. I know they won 15 games. Give me him. I'll take that guy. So, I think that's what it comes down to, man, at the end of the day.
Okay, so I will agree that they moved the goalpost depending on the player we're talking about. Because if it was only about the rings, the ranking should be Bill Russell number 1. No ifs, ands, or buts. Then we started looking at his teammates. I think Sam Jones has 10 and so on and so forth. You probably have like the top 3 to 5 might just be Celtic guys from that generation. Then you start looking at Robert Ory and um, who else be up there? Kareem got 6, Jordan got 6, Kobe got 5, Magic got 5. Then you start looking at who got the handfuls. Then you start counting down from there. So if that was all that mattered, if rings championships were all that mattered, then of course it's Bill Russell's league. He should be the logo. All that stuff. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is Robert Ory is nowhere in that class of these guys. But when you do start looking at the tier, so Robert Ory, let's say he's a D level player. Let's say C. I'm gonna put some respect on the thing. Let's say he's a C ranking of a player. His 2K rating, if you want to throw that in there, is 70 somethings. He's in that tier. You trying to compare him to people who 90s. He's the reason why he's not in that conversation. Mm-hmm. So the rings don't automatically bump him to that tier just because he has that. But what I am saying is when people are in that tier, so we're looking at A's, we're looking at the 90 ranked people, and we're looking at the people who are of that caliber, who are in that class. Those are the guys I'm comparing to. That's when the team success starts to kick in between those guys. So I'm not going to sit here and compare 6 foot to 7 foot because that's just silly. There's a reason why heavyweight and lightweight don't fight because that's just not a fair fight. We're not talking about that. When you compare heavyweight to heavyweight, okay, now let's look at certain things. Now we can break down the technique. We can break down their stance, their fighting styles because it's a more comparable fight. But Robert Ory is not in the conversation with greatest power forwards. We're talking about KG, Karl Malone, Tim Duncan, Barkley. Like that's silly. But now you want to break down those guys who are in that tier. Okay, Dirk is here because he had this individual success, but Barkley, he had this. Now you start to break down which one who has what. Because now it means a little bit more. But there's a reason why people say Tim Duncan is automatically number 1. And to add to that, I think that your moments for those situations weigh a little bit differently too. So Kyrie, they said Kyrie probably had one of the greatest shots in basketball history ever. Like that's probably the best shot. That shot didn't come game 2 in the regular season. That shot came in the NBA Finals, clutch time. The finals, which is where the team had to get to win the championship. The reason why that single shot is his individual greatness had to shine in that moment for that shot, which outweighed a lot of other shots he took, which outweighed a lot of other shots that a lot of other players took. So him shining in that moment, his individual talent shining in that team moment meant a lot. So that's where I come in and say, okay, you performing well in these type of situations puts you in a different tier. There's a reason why this team got here. It's because you have the capability to perform like that. So if you weren't able to perform like that, I doubt your team would have been able to get to that point. Of course, you would have had a game here and there. But if Kyrie not playing like Kyrie, LeBron ain't playing like LeBron, K-Love ain't playing like K-Love, you're not winning 50, 60 games, however many games they won that season. You're not winning the 16 wins in the playoffs to get to that position. So when we're talking about people in certain tiers, we're talking about the A's, we're trying to figure out who does that. Now you might point to the rings now. When we're looking at All-Star game, I get why they say that because Draymond and Boogie, right? If we're talking about one-on-one, of course I'm taking Boogie. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But now let's put Boogie in this 5 and Draymond on this 5. A little bit different conversation because Boogie might dominate from an individual standpoint, but Draymond can dominate the entire floor from his standpoint because he'll get you a triple-double and he knows how to shut down the team schematics of what they want to do. Draymond is a freaking defensive genius the way he blows up team stuff. Like, people can't do what he do. There's a reason why he's special mentioned in that class. Matter of fact, I'm going to slight tangent. Stop disrespecting Draymond. Like, stop. Whatever y'all like to say about Draymond, stop that. Because that man is a freaking genius on defensive end. Like, it's ridiculous. Like, the stuff he blows up is like, he sees that before anybody else sees that. Like, they didn't know he saw that, but he saw it like 2 plays ago. And, like, put him in the category, like, he's like right up there with the LeBrons and stuff, the CP3s, the Rondos. He's up there in that class. So stop disrespecting that man. Like, he don't know what he's talking about. He might talk crazy sometimes, and it's like, shut up, Draymond. But overall, he's pretty right. So that's my slight tangent. But anyway, his one-on-one is not going to look great to a lot of teams. It's fine. But his success on the team is weighed in intangibles. He might not get the steal, but he will deflect the play happening because he's in the right position, the right spot. So you might have saw a pass there, or it could have been opportunity. Somebody cut and it was wide open. Draymond saw that and cut it off, so you can't make that pass. So now you have to swing hot potato shot at the last second, and you got a bad shot now. So in the stat, you just see missed shot, but the film says Draymond called the turnover. If we could track that, Draymond Green would have a lot more defensive stats. So I'm not saying I'm taking Draymond Green over Boogie in a one-on-one matchup, but 5-on-5 is a different discussion because his impact is that much heavier. But that's the reason why the Warriors got to be to the Warriors' extent. That's why he's part of that big three. Now, of course, player for player, I'm taking Boogie. If we're talking about number one overall pick, I am taking Boogie. That's what, no ifs, ands, or buts. If I'm building out a team, though, and I'm missing a couple pieces, I might take Draymond over Boogie, depending on what else I have. Big if. Because that's the automatic 30 points and 12 rebounds right there. That's hard to get that up. And he can push the ball. Like, Boogie's stupid. So that's where the rings come in because Draymond's impact to those rings means so much. So I'm not going to sit here and just completely say, oh, Patrick McCaw and Robert Horry, all-time greats. They stupid. Like, what are we talking about here? No, I'm not saying that. But when you're talking about tiers of players, that means certain things. And when you're talking about their performances and them being able to show in those moments mean a lot too. So yes, you're a great individual player, but man, I saw Jordan hit that shot over Craig Gillow in the playoffs. Man, I saw him cross up Byron Russell or push off Byron Russell, depending on what side of the fence you want to sit on with that one, and hit that shot. I seen Kobe go off in the playoffs in clutch moments. I remember that game winning shot he had in the playoff against the Suns. Like, you can remember all these moments. Nobody's remembering a great dunk this individual player had. It's going to have to be all-time great for me to remember that. So it's like, yes, you're a great individual player, but you never made it to the playoffs. Or you only made it to the first round. So we might remember a couple of moments here and there. Like, I love Gilbert. Gilbert Arenas is my guy. Even though his career was cut short, there's a reason why he's still not mentioned in certain tiers. There's a reason why Derrick Rose was put over him. He got the individual thing that mattered a little bit more. His impact was a little bit different. So I'm not saying we just automatically throw in championships and the team success over automatically. It just automatically drowns out individual success. But you get to a certain point where individual stuff doesn't matter as much because now we're talking about what did you do to impact the team winnings. There's a reason why Jordan was so great because he said, yo, I'm putting all you guys on the line. If y'all don't do what y'all need to do, not online, it's like coach talk, but y'all gonna have to feel my wrath if y'all don't perform. Because I'm winning this ring with or without you guys. Y'all have to get in line. But Jordan's greatness overcame so many of the other rest of his teammates' lapses of what they couldn't do. They was like, oof, man, that guy's pretty great. The reason why he won 6 of them things. Man, LeBron's pretty good, man. That man averaged triple-double in the finals. I don't think we've seen that before. It's pretty tough. So it gets to a point where your individual stuff means a lot. It means it's crazy what that individual can do. But when you're able to be individual and it overtakes what the team can do, that means a lot. That's why people wanted to have LeBron win the Finals MVP, even though they was finna lose against the Warriors. He meant so much to that team. That's when MVP comes in. He meant so much to that team winning that his individual success overcame the team's lapse of what they had in spite of the other team having more firepower. That man lost his bazooka and his machine gun. He still came out and had them boys thinking we had a thought that LeBron might be able to pull that off. After game one, we was like, ooh, could LeBron actually beat this team?
Yeah,
He didn't have to, of course, but that's how great his individual stuff. I won't go mention him, bro, but you know it is what it is, man. We all know what happened, but
man.
But nah, man. So like his individual stuff in that moment is what shined and made it so great. So do the exact same thing in the regular season. All right, cool, whatever. But to get to that point of the team success meaning something, that's where it weighs a little bit more to me, man. So I think we have to count that into when we're talking about tiers of players and just their overall resume building stuff too.
All right. So my last point on this, I think I agree with you. There is a mixture of both individual and team accolades that go into like cases for best players ever and best player by positions ever, all that good stuff. When you get to doing these rankings and stuff, and like you said, you get to be in certain tiers of players all time. You need a mix of both to get into certain tiers. To get into you can't just get in the club. You know what I'm saying? But the thing
Yeah.
is, and I really believe this. I believe Mike and LeBron, really Mike, I guess I say. I believe Mike really ruined it for the guys after him. And that's more of a
Oh yeah,
testament to
yeah.
Mike's greatness, obviously. But the 6-0 thing, that's the thing. The 6-0 thing ruined it for the rest of the league forever, probably. Because this even Bill Russell ain't 11-0 in championships. He's not 11-0. He's won 11, but I want to say he lost like twice in the finals or something like that. So
Yeah, once or
even Bill,
twice.
yeah, so even Bill Russell ain't undefeated. But Mike 6-0 every time he went to the finals, never lost, never been down in the finals, never went to a game 7. Great all time.
Mm-hmm.
Like not trying to take that away from Mike. Obviously, he did what he did. He's the greatest. But that stigma of 6-0 has ruined it because now what do you get? Now, if you lose in the finals, that hurts your legacy. How people be doing
Mm-hmm.
Braun, and now it's to the point. Braun had been to the finals 10 times, won 4, so he's 4-6 in finals. That's the biggest knock on Braun. How you gonna be the GOAT? You done lost 6 times in the finals. How can I call you the GOAT? You've been
Mm-hmm.
to the finals 10 times and didn't even win half the time. That's the main stigma for Bron. And then people look at it, and then it's so bad now to the point that when the Lakers was in the playoffs this year, they were saying, is it better for Bron to go ahead and lose now, or the Lakers to go ahead and lose now to Denver, than make it to the finals and lose to Miami or whoever they play, or who is they, Boston? Is it better for them to go ahead and
Mm-hmm.
lose now? Because if they go to the finals and lose, now Bron had been to the finals 11 times and lost 7. That was a real conversation. Is it better to just lose now than lose in the finals? And as a basketball player, that's sickening. As an athlete, that's sickening. Because I'm looking at that like, did
That's silly,
y'all.
man.
It's crazy that people were so serious about that. And I'm looking at this as an athlete. I'm like, are
Mm-hmm.
we really discussing is it better to lose now than go to the finals and have a chance at a championship? As if they were just already destined to lose. That's how they was making it seem like, man, if the Lakers go to the finals, they're going to lose. So is it better for them to go ahead and lose now? That's how
Mm-hmm.
they made it seem. And I'm like, bro, are y'all serious? And that's all because of Mike. Because Mike went 6-0.
Mm-hmm.
And I ain't, like, obviously I ain't trying to say I wish Mike lost the finals or nothing. I don't, he did what he did. That's, his greatness. But, we discussed this many times. The Bulls at that time and Mike at that time were the best team, and he was the best player of that time. Mike was the best player in the
Mm-hmm.
'90s. Scotty was probably top 5. I ain't gonna say second or third, but y'all talk about you debate amongst yourselves what point Scotty was in the '90s. He probably was top 5. So you talking about having 2 of the top 5 players of the decade on the same team, and then later on you add the best defensive player and Dennis Rodman. And it's like, it is what it is, man. They had the best team. They were the Warriors of their time. And they won. And they made it happen 6 times. 6-0. Same way KD and the Warriors, when they got together, they won. And then it wasn't until their whole team fell apart that they lost. And even before KD, I mean, even after KD went down, people still thought they was going to win the finals because Clay was still playing. And then Clay got hurt. So it was like the whole team fell apart for them to lose the finals. And even
Mm-hmm.
then, you really didn't know if they was gonna lose. That's how bad it is. Cause like
Yeah.
folks don't think about that. They don't take that into consideration. And it's all because Mike went 6-0. And so now we look at every finals for players like LeBron and Steph Curry and KD who are in that are pushing that tier of being some of the greatest. And obviously LeBron already one of the greatest. Steph really already in that tier. KD pushing his way into that tier. We look at every year of them playing is how does this affect their legacy? And I just don't like that as a player, man. Like, why can't guys just be players? Like, that's why I feel like it's so important to look at an entire body of work. Like when Bron is done, Steph is done, we're gonna look at the game different, same way they did for Mike. Because people don't think about it, but when Mike was early in his career, they looked at Mike similar to how people probably look at Anthony Edwards. They looked at Mike like that, like, oh man, he's just putting up these numbers. He a stat stuffer. He be, he just want to score. He just want to put the ball in the hoop. He don't care about winning. He'll never win like that. He too selfish. That's how they looked at him. Kind of same way they looked at Kobe for a long time. That's how they looked at Mike. But in reality, Mike wanted to win. Same for Kobe. Kobe wanted to win. And Mike thought him scoring these points was going to push his team over the top. And at the time, he didn't have a team good enough to just win. He thought he had to push his team over the top by scoring. And it wasn't until the best coach ever, or debatably the best coach ever, came in, taught him, hey, man, you got to trust your teammates if you want to win. This is a team game, this and that. Gave him the triangle offense, taught him how to play it, played in that system. And he had to trust his teammates. And it still allowed him to be him. He still scored, obviously. But he had to trust his teammates. And inevitably, that led them to winning. And then you got guys like LeBron who trust their teammates, drive, kick for open threes to win games, and they don't go in. And what do we say? Oh, Bron scared. He ain't clutch. He passing up the game winner because he don't want to take it. Like he gave another guy the best shot. He gave a game winning three to Kyle Korver, one of the top 10 highest 3-point field goal percentages all time. And we talking about, oh, Bron scared to take the last shot. He literally passed it to the best 3-point shooter out here, and he missed. And that's why I say, man, Mike kind of ruined it, bro. And love, all love and respect to Mike, but he kind of messed it up for us, OG. You know what I'm saying? Now you got my guy LeBron out here going to the finals 10 times, and people think, well, dang, maybe he don't need to go no more because if he go again and lose, it's like, what do we say? Like, man, I just think it's bad, bro. I think it's bad. So, and then also, last thing, if you want to say LeBron is the GOAT over Michael Jordan and Kareem, Kobe, whoever, if you want to say Bron is the greatest, then I hate to tell you, but you kind of got to agree with me. Because obviously his individual awards top almost anybody. I don't care what you say. The scoring champion, like the all-time scoring leader, top 10 in assists, top 10 in rebounds, first in playoff points, all that good stuff. All the records LeBron have is the only thing that pushes him above Michael Jordan. That's it. Because Mike got the championships. He's 6-0, never lost. Got the scoring titles. He got a DPOY. All that good stuff. So they both got individual awards, but Bron has more. But Mike got the team awards, and he's 6-0 in the finals. So if you believe LeBron is the greatest player of all time, you got to believe that these individual awards hold a little more weight than the team accolades of winning a championship or being first, this and that. And you almost have to believe that. And that's my last little 2 cents.
You get pretty frustrated, don't you? You get so angry sometimes with the fact that this big goal that you're going after, you're so far away from it sometimes. Like you're in the 7th, 8th, 9th, or 10th grade, and you're just like, man, I can't wait to play college basketball. I can't wait to be able to play overseas. I can't wait to make it to the NBA or WNBA. And it gets frustrated sometimes to not be there yet. I got you. Completely understand. That means we have to practice more patience. We have to find peace in the middle of where we are right now. Zoom in very detailed and figure out how can we get 1% better. How can we make progress right now where we at? All right. So take this marathon journey that we're on and zoom down to make it a daily sprint to go wherever you're going after. But while you're sprinting every day, copy you a t-shirt. Get you one of these shirts as a reminder that progress is the only goal.
Yeah, I will say that it gets to a point where the IQ test is forgotten. Like,
Exactly.
look at what this player has done on the court. Like, how in the world do you say this player can't? Like, when people, like, we had a conversation a couple times. When the analysts started talking about how Kobe can't play basketball, he wasn't a good basketball player, I was like, all right, what are we doing here? Like, are we seriously finna sit here and say Kobe and AI are not good players based off this made up statistical stuff that y'all just threw together out the blue? Talking about they ain't great. Like, really? All right, all this is trash. Whatever y'all just thought was good is trash now. So I hated analytics for like the first 2-3 years because off of that alone, like, bruh, Allen Iverson, the answer, like, really? Okay, all right, it's trash. Get it out of my face. Like, we're done with this. Let's throw that back at whatever lab y'all got this from because y'all just talking silly now. Like, I think we forgot to look at the entire game and what they can actually do. Like, this dude on the court is phenomenal. When we see Aja Wilson step on the court and see what she's able of doing, it's phenomenal. I'm not going to sit here and ignore the entire film of games she just played, run to my phone and say, oh man, let me look at her stats, man. She only had 15 points. Oh, that wasn't a great game. But the game film says, bruh, she played phenomenal. When she was going in, she was going in. Number 15 was a nasty, dominant 15. But you ain't see that she had the crucial block or the crucial steal, the crucial play that she had to get the team to that win. So, yes, these stats mean a lot. I'm not trying to sit here and downplay anybody's individual accolades. But sometimes the timing of when those things matter a little bit more. And the timing I'm talking about is more of the late game situations, the playoff situations, the championship situations. You get bumped up there by the team. So there are times where you look at this guy's overall success and say, man, he shined brightest when the lights, his game shining brightest when the lights were the brightest. That's why people like a Robert Horry or Sam Cassell will come out the blue and be like I think Gilbert Arenas and LeBron had this thing in the finals one time where Gil told the story a couple times. He was like, playoff game, of course, Wizards Cavs. The game was tied or whatever situation with the Cavs to the last shot. Gil was like, I got Damon Jones come off the bench. Man, he ain't finna do nothing. I ain't worried about this clown, man. Whatever, bro. I ain't worried about that. I'm worried about LeBron James. That's what I'm worried about. So, of course, that's Gil's man. I forgot what was said to him, but he was like, finna hit Damon. Like, man, I ain't worried about that bus. He been sitting down for 2 hours, bro. He cold. He ice cold. So, play comes. LeBron does his thing. Of course, like you said, makes the right play, kicks out to his shooter. Gil like, man, whatever. I ain't worried about that. Splash. Game's over. Cavs win. Now he over to looking silly like, yo, what? He just hit that shot on me. He really. All right, bro. This some BS, man. Like, this brother hit the shot on me. Because certain players are built for that moment. Certain players are able to shine in moments like that when, man, I've been cold all game, but this shot going in. Man, it's a regular season game. Whatever. Playoff time? All right. Let me get warmed up. Let me start getting in my bag now. Oh, championship? Oh, you talking about NBA Finals? Oh, brother, you didn't. Oh, snap. You didn't woke up this dragon. Like, some people get revved up for those moments. Like, LeBron for the longest was just like, man, I don't think he's a big game player, man. Like, he plays down to certain situations, and it's like, you need this game, though, bro. Like, why are you playing against average guys? Why are you playing average? Then he got to a point where it's like, man, you cough up in the moments that matter the most, brother. Like, what you doing here? They should have won that first championship when he was with the Heat, but he didn't play up the par. D-Wade when carrying the team like he used to be able to do, man. He was banged up a little bit, and you just ain't showing up, bro. What we doing here? He wasn't doing at that point, but then he got right mentally where he was able to perform, and it's like, okay, LeBron James, King is here. Let's win these 2 rings, get up out of here. So I'm not finna sit here and just say that championships automatically outweigh all this stuff. I'm not finna sit here and say Jordan didn't mess up the game, which is interesting. I want to talk about that on the podcast one day. Kind of made you steal my topic.
Oh, sorry about that, brother.
I will sit here. Nah, that's all good, bro. But I will say that he did mess it up because that's a standard we hold every single player to now.
Everybody.
Like you have to win at least 6, and you have to go undefeated. If you don't do that exact same thing, doesn't matter. You're not topping him. It's like, yo, like LeBron has literally done damn near everything else you can do as an all-time great. Like, bro, I didn't go 6-0, but I went to that joint 10 times. All-time leader scorer. I can finish top 5 in rebounds and assists. Like, bro, what? Like, not even to mention all the other awards and accolades he got, man. Let's not even go there. Just off that alone. Like, it's stupid for him to have. So, I'm not going to sit here and just act like rings are the only thing that matter. Because I think Kareem lost in the finals, too, I believe. I think so.
With Magic.
I think he lost twice. Yeah, he lost one or 2 times with Magic for sure. I think he lost with the Bucks before that. I'm not sure. I don't remember exactly. But Kareem could have had more, technically, if you want to throw that in there. So, whatever that's worth to you, add that to whatever that's worth, whatever. So, my whole point is when we're talking about individual success and individual accolades, stats, and whatever versus the team success overall, what that team is doing. When you're weighing out a total player's career, I think more guys, we have to look at their team success overall than just the individual stuff. So when you get to certain tiers of players, that conversation will start to be had now. Like, first off, what you do individually? That's the first conversation we have. Can you hoop? Yes or no? Can you outdo this player on the court? That's the eye test is the first test we have to have. I don't care what your stats say. I don't care what your rings say. I don't care what your resume say. Can you hoop? Okay. You can hoop. You're in this tier hooper. You're in this tier hooper. You're in this tier hooper. My first tier guys, now we're looking at your stats. Okay, now we're breaking this down. Now, like, KD might not go down as the top 5 scorers all time as far as all-time scoring points, but there's a reason why he's mentioned as all-time scorers because the boy can score the ball. Like, that's no ifs, ands, or buts. So eye test says he's an all-time great scorer. Statistics might not say that. Team success might not say that, but that's the first tier we're going to look at is the eye test. So he's in that tier off of that alone, off the strength of he can do that. Next is looking at the stats and everything. Okay, this boy averaged like 25 every single year. It's nasty. Okay, now we're nitpicking between him and these other players. Okay, what did he do in the final? What did he do in these certain moments? Okay, that's where nitpick comes in. So I think the rings come in at that point. So when it's KD, Scottie Pippen, Dr. J, Kawhi, Giannis, and we're talking about the tier of those players and who does what and what happens where. So you telling me you're going to take no rings, no real playoff success for real. I mean, he made it to the playoff a couple of times, but he didn't even get to the conference finals versus 2, 3, 4 rings, couple finals MVPs, plus he has the other stats and stuff too. That's the conversation we're talking about now. So not every player is not going to be mentioned in these categories and these conversation debates. But when you're in certain tiers, the team set starts away a little bit more. Not just strictly off of the basis of he has the success as a team, but your individual play contribute to the team getting to this point, contribute to the wins that you got at this point. So that's why I say team success matters some, because it starts off individual, starts off with the eye test, then it kind of goes to stats. But now, like, the trump card could be your team success. It can be that, depending on the conversation we're having. So KD automatically stamped as top 10 all time. Like, that's just not a conversation we're having. Top 5 scorers all time. Not a conversation we're having. Ooh, okay, top 5 all time. Okay, now that's a conversation we might have to have. Why is that? Well, 6 rings Jordan, 6 rings Kareem, 4 LeBron, 5 Kobe, 5 Magic. That's 5 players right there. Whether that's top 5 or not, oh, I forgot Bill Russell, or I forgot Wilt Chamberlain. Like, now we're starting to have different conversations. All these guys have multiple rings. So that's when it starts to come into conversation. We're talking about all the times or all whatever in these conversations. We're talking all-time scorers. Rings have nothing to do with that. We're talking all-time defensive players. Rings have nothing to do with that. We're talking about the complete package of a player, what they're able to do. Now rings have to come into that when we're weighing out resume versus resume. So we're talking about who the best hooper, who can go out there and get you a bucket. Oh, man, let me go pick up Kobe. Let me pick up Jordan. Let me pick up KD. We can go hoop. Like that's not Draymond's not in the thought right there. We talking about hoopers, like just straight up getting buckets. Okay, cool, do that. But now you want to weigh in team success. When we talking about the overall things, Draymond who hops over a lot of dudes because his play contributed to the Warriors' rings a lot more heavily than they little 25 average points to their no rings and no playoff success. So I'm not saying rings automatically trump everything else, but it weighs a little bit heavier when you in those certain rings in certain conversations. So that's why I say team success matters a little bit more than individual stuff. I'll say for at least 75% of players. I'll say that. So that's all I got for that one, man.
Hey, man. My last thing I'm going to say on it. When Hunter Preston was first left, this past season, and, it was just me. I mean, not just me. Oh, that's a bad way to put that. But, Hunt left, that was my boy. So it felt like we was a duo, which we kind of was.
Mm-hmm.
But this past season, I remember a guy on my team asked me, we was talking about Hunt for some odd reason. I don't even remember how we got here. But, like, me and Hunt playing together. He said, so you feel like you better than Hunt now? And I said, it depends on what you want. So what you mean? I said, Hunt can do some things I can't do on the court. He can shoot the peel off the ball. His left hand is unstoppable. He get to his left hand side, he gonna make it. I can't say that about my right hand. I can finish with both hands though. He couldn't finish with his right hand like that when he was here. But he gets to that left, it was going in. Didn't care how great a defense you played. He was gonna put that jump over your hand and it was gonna fall in. He's just good like that. And so he can do some things that I can't do. To stop and pop for the midi like it was nothing. All that good stuff. But there's some things I could do that he couldn't on the court. And he would agree. The blocks and the shot blocking, the rim protection, the defense, the rotations, the thought process on defense. There's some things that he couldn't do like that. Not that he wasn't a good defender, obviously, but, it's some things I can do, some things he can't do. Some things he can do that I can't do. So that's why I tell him it depends on what you want. Because I can score a little bit, but I ain't going to score like him. He's a better scorer. But I can defend like crazy. And I can protect the rim, and I can rebound, and I can tell people where to go and have a lot of intangibles that he didn't have. But he hustled real hard, but like the other intangibles, I think I had over him. So it depends on what you wanted. And so, you could debate who had the better career because he had a second team all conference and the first team all conference. I only had the second team all conference, but I got the 2 defensive players of the year. Neither one of us got no championship. He was on the team his first year at CSU that went to the championship and lost, so they was the runner-up. But like I say, it depends on what you want. And I think that's how we need to do these. It depends on what you want. Who's the greatest player of all time?
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you want. Do you want a guy who can score on anybody and play D and a great leader and a winner? You might want to go with Mike. You want a guy that can do a little bit of everything. He can score, he can pass, he can rebound, he can play make, he can defend multiple positions. You might want to go with Bron. You want a guy with killer instinct, gonna make everybody around him play to a high level, hold his team to a higher standard, and if they don't play to the standard that he need them to play, he gonna do everything he can to get the win without him, regardless of what his teammates are doing. You might want to go with Kobe. And I think that's how things need to be handled from now on. So y'all can take that with you and run with it straight from my mouth. Quote it from me though. Say, hey man, I watched the BeBall Jones podcast and I think I'm finna put it like this. Make sure y'all get that quote to us now.
Mm-hmm.
But that's how these rankings need to go from now on. And that's how I look at basketball. It's like, hey man, who better between this guy and that guy? Well, it depends on what you want. And I feel like you can say that about a lot of things. Obviously, there's some players like it's a given. Who better between Steph Curry and Rajon Rondo? Steph Curry. I'm not gonna say it depends on what you want because there's nothing Rajon does that just could put him in a tier above Steph Curry. Love Rajon Rondo though. It's just one of them things. But then you get down to guys like who better, Kevin Garnett or Karl Malone? Well, it depends on what you want. Karl Malone, 3rd all-time leading scorer in NBA history. KG got multiple Defensive Player of the Years, got a championship, all that good stuff. Depending on what you want. So, y'all take that home with you, man. From now on, when y'all make these rankings, start off by saying, if you don't agree with what I'm about with my ranks, just remember that I rank these depending on what I want out of a player. So that's how you need to preface everything from now. So when you get ready to say, all right, my top 10 goes Bill Russell at the 1, and Robert Horry at the 2, and Michael Jordan at the 3. Man, how can you do that? It depends on what I want, and I want the players with championships. So Bill Russell number 1.
Mm-hmm.
And when you put it that way, it's hard to argue with that. Because like you said, it's on you. It depends on what you want. It's your list. So that's my last little 2 cents, man.
Yeah, I think that's a big reason why I started the podcast, because you hear the talking heads on TV and stuff, and it's like they talk in circles, and it's about the same thing. It's not even getting in depth. You're not saying this is what I value and this is why I'm saying that. You're just yelling stuff that you believe. You're just yelling opinions, and it's like, okay, it's kind of entertaining sometimes. It's fairly entertaining. It gets to a point sometimes where it's like, all right, bro, like y'all been doing this the past 3 days, or you sit there and watch ESPN all day. It's like, bro, I seen Stephen A. later this morning, this afternoon, then the pregame show saying the exact same thing, yelling all day. First off, your voice don't get hoarse when they're yelling. Like, you don't get tired. Like, you don't take lozenges in between the breaks and stuff. Like, do you sip tea or something? Because that's a lot of yelling. So anyway, love Stephen A. That's a legend, man. But
Of course, love Stephen A.
But nah, man, it's like yeah, respect. He's a legend, man. He goated, man. But it gets to a point where it's like, bruh, y'all not saying anything at this point. Like, you're just yelling, and y'all might be talking about completely different perspectives of why. Like you just talked about. I might value the individual play, but I might value the rings. So you're just gonna keep going at that perspective, and you're like Rams just butting heads, and it's like, y'all saying you're speaking English and you're speaking French. That's why there's no movement in this conversation, because you're just coming from two different angles. The conversation is strictly about rings. Now we can actually go somewhere with this. If we're talking strictly about IQ tests, now we can go somewhere. If we're strictly talking about stats, now we can go somewhere. But it's like, bruh, like I get the now if we want that conversation, which one means more, okay, like we're having here. Now we can move a little bit differently. But you're just literally going to yell, rings, no, stats, no, IQ tests. So, bro, we're just going to go nowhere then. Okay, fine. Let's just go around, ring around the rosy this whole 2-hour show. It's fine. Just do that. Y'all get paid big bucks. I'm not getting paid to do this. Cool, whatever. But I can't watch it anymore. So I think we do get an intelligent point. This is what I believe about this, and this is why. So now I can't rebuttal you on your why. I'm not saying it just automatically deletes the whole debate, but it does frame. It gets a framework of what we can talk about now. It gets a direction we can go at now. So that's why I don't care for a lot of stuff on TV and a lot of popular or whatever stuff. So I think that's an important fact. But I will say this: I'm gonna rebuttal you with 2 of your own stories. So you talked about before when you was in high school how a teammate had all these points, but they didn't give you your shine of respect because if you didn't have the stats and accolades you had, the game would have went a different direction. You didn't win the game, but your contribution made it to where it was that point. We didn't win, but it would have been a lot uglier if I didn't show up and perform. So the individual of you, who you are, kicked into play to even get us in this position. Did we win? No, but we didn't get our butts whooped this game. Not to say his points didn't matter, but everything got added to this game meant a lot too. Mm-hmm. So yes, he's being crowned as MVP of this game and the winner of this game. But bro, this is a conversation we can't be had, because does he get those points without me getting these blocks? Does he get them points without me getting these rebounds? Or me being in a position to get the turnover like I talked about with Draymond? It's another conversation. So yeah, he might, I'm not saying he dropped 50, but he might have dropped 50, but it might have been on 35 if it weren't for me. I set the pick and roll to get him clear, wide open shot.
That's the one.
Because I rolled, he had to drop with me, and now he got the shot. So little stuff like that to where it's like, okay, all right, okay, Nelson does need to earn a little bit more respect with that one. Okay, I got you. All right, let me give you some flowers too. Other story you had before when you were saying, Coach said if I had 3 all-conference players, we'd be in a different position.
Very true.
So the caliber of player that we have right here, because he's this caliber of player, we are in a better position. So individual stuff means a lot, But because we have these caliber of players, we're in this conversation of talking about what team stuff. Because if you don't have the big three in today's NBA or the usual NBA, you have two greats. You need a third, at least really good. It's the minimum you need to really be considered that tier of team. So yes, individual stuff matters, but it gets to a point where you gotta bump to the next tier to be great players to get to that team success. So that's my last piece. Unless you want to rebuttal that, man, we can get up out of here.
Yeah, man, I'm good, bro.
All right, man. I think that was an interesting conversation, man. So I want to, now it's you guys' turn to tune in and get your 2 cents off, man, because we didn't sit here and went back and forth for a minute, but the conversation, the debate's not ended here. I want you guys to continue it on with us in the conversation, in the comment section. The DMs are open too. We prefer the comment section. We can have open dialogue if you can tune in to 2 cents too. So go ahead and hop in there, man. Let us know what you guys think. You can do it specifically on YouTube channel, BeBall Jones Podcast. If you're watching it, it's a dope place to have it. So just jump on there. Make sure you subscribe first, then comment, because I think the YouTube algorithm changed where you can only comment if you subscribe. So you got to subscribe first and unlock the comment section. I just made that up, so don't go like, don't be like, well, BeBall said, nah, bro, I'm just joking, bro. Like, just I want subscribers, that's all. But yeah, man, so subscribe and comment along. If you want to do it on a post, you can follow me on social media at BeBall Jones. It's BE Ball Jones. Don't forget the E because it makes it unique. It's not just BeBall Jones because it's not unique. So BE Ball Jones on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, Threads. Throw that in there. It's pretty cool. Follow me on there. TikTok, whatever. Just type in BeBall Jones and I'm gonna come up there. Like it's whatever. Follow my boy Nelson. It's not on the screen no more, so we gonna just have it in the description below because he got Twitter, Facebook, IG. So you wanna follow him? If that's your app, you gonna have below and we can look up with him there. So let him know, hey bro, you was wrong. B-ball was right. Because that's how the conversation goes. I'm usually right. So we're gonna do it right there. So
Boy, that's crazy.
And I mean, it is what it is. You feel me? Like, that's just kind of the way it goes. But yeah, man. So,
Boy, that's crazy.
but nah, man. So we're gonna get up out of here, man. Follow the podcast on TikTok, the BeBall Jones Podcast. And I want you guys to tune in on Fridays to my Hoop Jam show. You feel me? Just quick little nuggets to get you through to your next week mentally. So even give you a quick little mental how-tos or just give you slight little motivational inspiration to get you through to your weekend, carry on to the next week. So hope you guys tune into that. Every Friday it's dropping. So I haven't missed a Friday yet. I'm not gonna miss another Friday. And I got a lot more stuff coming with that show too. So go ahead and tune into that, man. But appreciate you guys for watching and listening. And stay tuned for next week, man. It's gonna be another dope episode. So appreciate you so far. We out.